at the end, closer to the end of chapter 37 of the Tanya, the Perek Tanya. I believe on page 178. So here the Alter Rebbe explains the power. He's explaining the power of Limud Torah, of learning Torah, in comparison to doing mitzvahs. So we know Chassidus explains that Torah, the difference, there's many differences between the concept of learning Torah and the concept of a mitzvah. And one of the basic principles, one of the basic differences is that Torah comes from above. Torah was given min hashamayim. Torah is Dvar Hashem. The Torah is the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Torah is the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the wisdom of God. While a mitzvah is the avodah of a Jew. A Jew does a mitzvah. He creates, he forms a Pirei Tefillin, he writes a Sefer Torah, he writes a mezuzah, he puts it on his door. So the mitzvah is something that a Jew does milmata l'mayla. Chassidus, Kabbalah, we have the expression milmayla l'mata, something that comes, that descends from above to below. Or you can have a concept of something that goes milmata l'mata, from above to below. Or you can have a concept of milmata l'mayla, something that comes from below to above. So both of them create an aspect in dira b'tachtonim, in the purpose of what the Alter Rebbe started this chapter. The purpose of creation, why did God create the world, is dira b'tachtonim, because God wanted to have a dwelling place in this world. As we went through, we're going through the 4 parshas of the Torah. V'aso li migdash v'shachanti b'seicha. Make for me a migdash, so I will dwell in your midst. So that is really the whole purpose of the Beis HaMikdash, the Mishkan that God created, wanted that Jews should build. And the concept of the general concept of the purpose of the world, or why did God create the world, is that there should be a dira tatein, that God should come and dwell in this world. So God in essence created 2 entities that fulfill this concept. One thing that comes from above, that's so to say like a gift from the Shamayim, and that's the aspect of Torah, and the concept of a mitzvah, which is the concept of an action where a Jew does something here in this world, which creates a vessel for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for God. But these both things, each one of them have a positive, so to say, and each one of them have something that is, I wouldn't say we call it negative, but something that is lower than one another. We find also Torah is called lechem. Torah is called chu lachmi belachmi. Come eat my bread. Torah is called bread. Why? Why is the Torah called bread? Ki lo yalechem levada yichya adam. Ki ameitze pi Hashem yichya adam. The verse says, not on bread alone do we survive, but we survive also off the Torah, because Torah is considered a mazain, it's considered a concept of sustenance, something that sustains you, like food sustains you, because food comes part of you. Food you eat, and hopefully you eat healthy food, comes dam ubasa kupsare, comes the blood and the flesh of a human being. Therefore, food is important. And it's important to eat healthy food, and it's important to eat kosher food, because since the food becomes part of you, becomes in essence a part of you, so the non-kosher food, chas v'shalom, comes part of you, comes your dam, comes your basar, and it becomes part of your essence. That's why kosher food is a chukah. It's something that's it's above and beyond understanding, because it becomes, in a way, it becomes part of your entity, and it's much more difficult to get rid of. Like just like it's just difficult to lose weight, because once it becomes part of your flesh, now how do you get rid of it? You can't just get rid of it by praying. You can't get rid of it by hoping. You got to do exercise. You got to starve. You got to change your diet. Physically, you got to do that. So too, chas v'shalom, if we take a sin, take the example of food, and it becomes dam, it becomes my blood and my flesh. Now, how do I get rid of it? Prayers. It's part of my flesh already. It added to my bones. It added to my blood. It added to my body weight. Now I need to get rid of it. I need to do tshuva, right? I need to eradicate it. Yes. Takes not so easy to eradicate such a thing, because you need to get rid of the flesh and the blood that this food has become part of. The truth, that's in a negative concept. In a positive, the Torah is considered food too. Because the Torah also becomes part of a human being. The Torah also enters the human being and becomes part of his being. It becomes part of his seichel. Mitzvahs is in a way differently. I put on tefillin something on me. The tefillin doesn't become me. The tefillin is something that I put on, and then I take it off. The mezuzah is something that does not in me. And most mitzvahs don't become part of me. So the mitzvah is a concept that I put upon me. That's why it's called, in the beginning of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says, mitzvahs are levushim, are garments. Garments also, it might enhance me, it might protect me, it might give me warmth, and it might make me beautiful, l'chavil l'sifaris, as the garments of the Kohen. But it's ultimately garments. Ultimately, I take off these garments, and I hang it up. But the bread I eat goes part of me. That's why Torah, the more Torah I learn, I walk with it 24/7. It's something that I can't take it off, right? If I start thinking different and I learn, the Torah refreshes my mind. It shapes my mind to think differently. Now the Torah has become part of my existence 24/7. And because as my body has become part of me, as what I eat becomes part of me and I walk with it, so to the Torah comes part of me. So the aspect of Torah is something that in essence, what I gave, the analogy is something that I've taken from above, so to say, and I put and the Torah had the capability to become part of my existence. So in essence, the Alter Rebbe, with the beautiful, what the Alter Rebbe says, because we all know that the knowledge of the Torah is unlimited. The Torah is unlimited. Look at this bookshelf over here. The Torah is unlimited. It's not something that you can put in a box. It's not something that you can say, I've captured it, I know it, I have acquired it. It's an expression in Pirkei Avos. If somebody says, I've acquired knowledge, he doesn't know what knowledge is. So he doesn't know wisdom. I acquired wisdom, he doesn't know what wisdom is. As the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, the beginning of Tanya, that the word for wisdom in Hebrew is chachma, which is koyach ma, which is what is it. Wisdom always demands more. Wisdom always demands what and where and how. That's the power of wisdom. Koyach ma, it's the capability to go continuously strive and continuously grow in the aspect of my wisdom. There's no limit to it. It's unlimited. So how much knowledge I know of Torah, trust me, it's unlimited. It's far from the end of the story. So as you see, we all can learn Torah. We all know there are greater sages than us around this table. There are greater people, they're greater knowledgeable people. So they have a much greater knowledge in the Torah. So even in today, I know there are people that are smarter than me, much more knowledgeable, much more learned than me. So whatever I can understand is limited, is according to my limitation. Maybe I'll learn harder, my limitations will grow. And I'm not limitation, my knowledge will grow, and I will have less limited. But even as I grow, ultimately, I'll never reach the ultimate knowledge. That's why it says, the prophet says, I understand that the Torah is the wisdom of God, then it's unlimited. Then the wisdom is that even Moshe Rabbeinu continues to learn. How high he reached in the knowledge of Torah, he can continue to go higher and higher. And there's no limit to it. So what am I? What is my knowledge? What is my knowledge? If the Torah is unlimited and I am learning something and I realize even while I'm learning it that it's still unlimited, it's far from the essence of the knowledge. But that's the beauty of the Torah knowledge. The beauty of Torah knowledge is, again, an analogy of food. Some people can eat a lot of food, and some people can eat a little food. Some people can eat all kinds of food. Some people cannot eat all kinds of food. They're all eating. They all need to eat. The common denominator, we all need to eat. Right? You're not going to give a child, you're not going to feed a child the amount of food you're going to feed an adult. What's going to happen? He's going to throw up. Right? You're gonna limit his intake. So too, we also know how much knowledge we can eat. We cannot overdo the knowledge. It's gonna overpower the circuits, and overpower our brains. And that's not what God wanted. God made the Torah that it would be like the concept of Od Hashem, that would be able to fulfill the knowledge of any level or any size or any wisdom, any capable of wisdom that any person would have. For a 5-year-old child who has to start learning, to a great sage that is learning his whole life Torah knowledge. And each one is equally learning. Each one is equally eating. Each one is equally digesting to his capability. And God doesn't want that you should do something that's not your capability. So the beauty of Torah is that we can have one verse of the Torah and it can mean 70 different things, and it can have 70 different interpretations, each person to his capability, from a young child to an adult, because it's Eir Hashem, it's a light of the Eibishter that's unlimited. A mitzvah is the opposite. You cannot say, I'm going to do a mitzvah my way. I'm a 13-year-old mitzvah boy, I'm going to put on tefillin differently than a 50-year-old. No, we all have to do the mitzvah the same way. You have to do the mitzvah kil chasa. You can't decide, but I'm stupid, I'm going to do the mitzvah different. I'm going to wear a different kind of tefillin. I'm going to put on I'm going to do a different way this mitzvah. I'm going to eat matzah differently. I'm going to hear a different Megillah. I'm going to do differently. I'm not so smart as you. I'm going to do it differently. You can't do that. Every person, whatever level he might be in, needs to do the mitzvah the exact same way. Whether he's a great sage, whether he's a 13-year-old child, we both put on the same pair of tefillin. We both do the mitzvah the exact same way. Because the mitzvah comes from below. The mitzvah is the avodah of a yid. If it's my service, then I need to know exactly how to do it. I cannot do my own way. Because I'm limited. I know that my service is limited. And therefore the Eibishter created a service, the Eibishter created a mitzvah that is equal for everybody. Brings equality to everybody. Whether you're a great person, whether you're a simple person. So actually the mitzvah unites us in a way, it brings equality to all of us. Right? We all do the mitzvah the same way. We all do the same thing. The Torah is different again. We all shouldn't learn the Torah the same way. We all should learn differently. We all should learn according to our capability. So if a person can learn more, he should learn more. If a person cannot learn more, he shouldn't learn more. And every person needs to know what their level is in knowledge, how much they can pass it. So really, for a sage, a gisa b'yom v'alayla should learn Torah by day and by night. If you're not capable of doing that, don't try it. You're not capable, you're not capable. It's not easy to learn Torah 24, even 10 hours straight, or 12 hours straight. It says, 4 great sages went into the knowledge of God. Yeah. One went crazy, one killed himself, one went to heretic, One went in and came out in peace. So it's not for everybody. Rabbi Akiva, Nichnas b'Shalom, Yatz b'Shalom. Rabbi Akiva went into this knowledge with peace. He came out in peace. So he went in. He had the capability. And knew from the beginning they had the capability, the capacity to be able to acquire this knowledge, this Oir Hashem that comes milamayla. So the Alter Rebbe brings something down over here. We're going to read it in Tanya. Maybe read it already with my wife. But the Alter Rebbe says something on another, because we're learning this Maimah. This Maimah actually just came out, so it reminded me. So here the Alter Rebbe says a beautiful interpretation to the verse by Aseres HaDibros, by when God revealed the Jews the Torah. It says, Eila hadvarim, Veidab Hashem, as hadvarim eila leimer. Right? God spoke these words to say, leimer. So the Rebbe, everybody asked the question, what is the word leimer, to say? Usually it says when God spoke to Moses, saying. Why? He said to say, because he said to Moses to say to others. Why does the Torah over here say, in this state, when God spoke to every single Jew, what did he mean to say? Lamer, to say. The word lamer, to say, is extra in the verse. And there are many commentaries to the meaning of the word lamer, to say. To say yes or no, Rashi answers, it means that God wanted the Jewish people to answer yay or nay. They want to do it or they don't want to do it. And they said, yay, Baruch Hashem. Right? The Alter Rebbe says lamer is coming to bring about a revolution. A revolutionary concept in Matan Torah. And that is, lamer, to say, means that God will say. God is saying, I am going to say, every time you're going to sit down and learn Torah, is as if I'm going to say it again. So when you're going to sit down and learn anything in Torah, I am going to lamer, I'm going to say. And what is that going to accomplish that God is going to say? So the Alter Rebbe says, and accomplish a very important concept, what the sages wanted. And that is that the sages wanted that the Jewish people, when they learn Torah, it should be chadoshim. It should be like they never learned it before. It should be new. Even though the Torah was given over 3,000 years ago, and we have learned this parsha already, we learned the portion over and over and over again. It should be, every time when you learn the Torah, it should be like you have never learned it before. Now, how is that possible? How is it possible to learn the Torah, something you learned last year, and something you learned the year before, and something you read the year before that, and you read it, it's the same parsha. Nothing has changed. We're going to go read the same portion. It's the same story. We all know the story. We're going to read the Megillah in 2 weeks. We're going to read the Megillah, the same story. Nothing has changed. The same Megillah, the same story. Nobody, no new characters, no new things. It's the same story, Rabbi Shalom. Let's put something new into it. Right? No, you're supposed to read the Megillah and feel like you never heard this Megillah before. It's a Naya Maisa. It's a new story, never happened before. Something new has happened. And that's a mitzvah. How you make a bracha on something that's old? You're making a bracha, it's a mitzvah, it's something new. So how is that possible? So the answer is because if God's saying it with us, so then God is not old. The Eibishter is above time and space. He's not new or old. So the Eibishter God, who's unlimited, is above time and space, above past, present, and future. So when God is repeating it with me and saying it with me, then it's mamish like a new thing, like never ever was written before. Because the Eibishter is above time and above space, above time, no time, past, present, and future. So the concept of total new revelation that God is saying the Torah right now, that never, ever was said before.
But it is a new thing, because we're not the same person we were last year.
Okay.
We've done much in between, and so we hear with a different ear and a different eye.
Yeah. I always thought that, but my wife tells me you haven't changed. So, I don't know. It says.
You haven't changed enough for her.
All right. We
That's
don't.
what that means.
I don't think we have changed. And something tells me we haven't changed enough for God either. It says two entities knows a man, his wife and God. So both of them, I think, say you haven't changed. You're just the same guy. You're boring. It's time for change. Time for change. It's time to change. We need some change in life. So they say when men don't want women to change, and women want men to change. The problem is women change and men never change. So it's the way it is. That's it. We never change. Yeah, we don't. And if we change, it's very slow. We're very slow changers. We don't like change. Humans don't like change. And we like old things. We like it. We like old stuff. We don't like new. It's afraid of the new. You're used to the comfortable with the negative. Why, who knows what's going to be, change life. But the Eibishter didn't want that. God wanted a human being should constantly grow. And that demands change. That demands change. That demands the aspect, and that's why it demands wisdom. That's why God demanded wisdom. The wisdom demands change. You can't stick with the old because it gets boring, the old, in the aspect of wisdom and knowledge. You need to have a refresher. You need to have something, a new dimension, a new level. And every person to that capability is to a new level of wisdom. And that's the beauty of wisdom, and that we should thrive for wisdom. We should constantly try to become smarter, try to become mature, try to become more developed intellectually. Because that's going to change us. That will change us. As I said last time, that comes a natural change. We don't need sometimes God gives us an abrupt change. And we don't need that kind of stuff. When the Eibishter can change a person's life in a second, and it forces him to change. Wisdom gives a natural progression of change. And that's really what God wanted. And you're right, it takes time. We're not in a rush. But the wisdom demands the aspect of change. But if you're going to learn wisdom as something old, then it's never going to change. Because I'm learning something that's old. I've read it already. So if I come to the Parsha, I come Shabbos, I read the Parsha, I read it last year, so what? I know it already. Then the portion is not going to, then this wisdom is not going to be able to have an effect on you. It's not going to be able to become part of you. So you need to, so then like the analogy would be just creating extra luggage. We're looking for healthy food, that it becomes dama basa kipsarei, that the wisdom becomes part of my flesh, and it becomes it becomes part of my existence, and that will automatically change. That makes change, develops my mind for change. And that's the beauty of both of these concepts, Torah and mitzvahs, why God gave us these two things, so to say, the aspect of Torah, knowledge, and that we should continue to strive for the Torah knowledge, and the concept of a mitzvah, of an action. And they're both, as I say, on one hand I say, Hamaisu Oika, as we always heard, the action is the most important thing. And then we say learning Torah is greater than everything. So, because each one has something that is greater than the other. Each one on its level, on its purpose, has something. So even though we can both be great, that's why in humanity, we all, in the purpose of creation, each one of us has something that the other doesn't have. And therefore, we are all great in our purpose. We might not be all great in certain things, in specific concepts. Some of us might be greater than others. And Baruch Hashem, you can help me out in these things, I can help you out in those things. But in the aspect of purpose of creation, we're all great. There's no small, there's no irrelevant purpose in the concept of purpose. So too, in the aspect of mitzvah and Torah, in a specific concept, the Torah is greater. In a specific concept, the mitzvah is greater. But in the purpose, they're both great. Because in the purpose of creation, in the purpose of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, they're both equally important. They're both, to the purpose, they're both equally important. Yeah.
It sounds like it's a cycle because you have that, but you also have Sefirat HaOmer, which you had to do something before the Torah, and it was like we put onto the mitzvah, and before that Hashem had to go in and take them out of Egypt, and so
it is. So you have to have so the Torah was given before the Sefirah, so the Jewish people kept the Torah. And then, so the Torah was there already before. So why do you need Sefirah Zalman? Because that's the truth. There cannot be there cannot be that I have a purpose if there's no purpose too. So there needs to be the purpose. And then I have that purpose. And then I accomplish that purpose. I bring down that purpose. So that's why you have the concept of something that comes from above, which the Torah was there before creation. Then you have the service of a person that brings down this, and then we accomplish the purpose together. So, but if without the Torah being there before, you wouldn't have that journey of 49 days to that. So there had to be the Torah before that, so that we journey to that, and then we accomplish that, and then we continue on developing that. So it continues to, that's human beings. We do something that's done already, right? That becomes done already. Now we have to do something else. We put on tefillin yesterday. Now we have to put on tefillin today. Oh, but I did it yesterday. No, but today's a whole new. I'm on a different rung. It's a fascinating thing, I just saw, Israel sent last week a rocket to moon, but they did it differently than any other rocket. That what are they? It's gonna take longer. It's gonna take like 80 days, 2 months to get to the moon. And why? Because they didn't want to make it heavy with gas, oil, whatever, fuel and stuff to get it there. So they're using the first 60 or whatever days, the moon, it's surrounding the world. It's coming back to the world. Every time it comes back to the world, it goes further. And it keeps on going further. Sooner, it's going to come into the orbit of the moon. And then the moon is going to gravitate it. But they're using, they're using the Earth and the moon.
How come we don't do that?
We do that. That's what I said. We're using the Earth and the moon. We're using the Earth. They're using the Earth. Israel's using the Earth to propel this thing higher.
Gravitational pull.
Right. So it flies it up. It coming back down. It throws it up, and every time it throws it up, it's throwing it up further and further until it comes into the gravity of the moon. I'm not a scientist. It comes into the gravity of the moon, and now the moon will pull it towards the guy. Right. That's like. So it's a right. So instead of pushing all this gas and oil and making it push with that, they're using the Earth. They're using the. So that is Ichsidus. That's the beauty. That is Yerida Tzorech Aliyah. That's the aspect that you go down to be able to go back up. There's no going down to go back up. The Eibishter wanted the Jewish people go to the Levana, which continues to wane and come back further. You need to go down and go back up. But you shouldn't go down for the sake of crashing. You should go down so that you get it. You come down to be able to give you the strength to go up. So that's a Yiddish cup. So that's a Jewish cup. Use it, right? Why? It cost $5 billion to go to the moon. You have to put how much gas there. Use $100 million. Use the Earth. Use the Yerida. Use the going down to go back up, which is a beautiful concept. It's a Yiddish cup, and Jews came up with this concept, and it's in the Torah, this concept. So you have something from above, and it comes down to below, and it's supposed to shoot back up, and it comes back down to below, and it shoots back up, and so it continues to go higher and higher and higher. And it's never ending. We're going to continue to go higher, because godliness is above the moon. So
we're going to go back higher.
that's it. We fall to go back higher. We come down to go back higher. We don't come down to come down. We come down to go up. We bring ourselves down. We have to get down. We're human beings. We can go into the spiritual dimension. We can go to a spiritual level, which is Torah, but we need to come down to the mitzvah. That's why I'm Meiser Yikar. That's why the earth is Meiser, which is the earth is the Yikar, because that's going to give us, because we're humans. We're not Martians. We're humans. And the earth is important to us. The earth is important to us. And therefore, we need to do the Meiser. We need to take the spiritual. We need to bring it down. We need to bring it down. We need to bring it down. What's going to help us by bringing it down is just going to go back up, right? We're going to bring it down to go back up. Because we'll realize that the whole down is only that it should go back up. The down is not that for the down. The down is to make it a more spiritual thing. Then we're going to keep on doing that. So we're going to keep on doing that. We're going to read the Torah. We're going to read the Megillah again. We're coming back down. We're reading the Megillah again. Something we read last year. And a year before, it's propelled around me 50 years already, this Megillah. It's like a Megillah. And it's coming back down. It's coming back down, hopefully, that I'm going to propel it higher. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go higher with it. I'm going to go higher. Make it new. And that's the newness. I'm going to make it new. Not new physically. It's not the same Esther, the same Mordechai, the same story. I can tell you the story already. So, right? I'm going to spoil this. I say story. I'm going to tell you. Hey, and why? I'm going to tell you. No, because I'm going to find something in the story this year that's going to propel me higher. I'm going to find something in the story. I'm going to read the story, do the mitzvah. I'm going to bring it down, hear the story again, and find something in the story that's going to propel me, rocket me higher. And that is the beauty. And that's the whole, that's why the Torah and mitzvah actually work in hand, even though they both have two different purposes, they both have two different concepts, but the purpose is the same. The purpose of Torah and mitzvah is dina betach Torah, is to bring godliness into the world. So this is a concept of something that's above that needs to come to below, and something that's below needs to go higher. Because if you're just going to bring something down from above, and it's not going to make the below higher, then it's not affected it. Then it's not elevated it. So it came down from above, and it just crash land. It made a dent. It didn't do anything to it. It didn't elevate it. The Torah wanted that the world should be elevated too. Not only should be revelation. We're not looking for revelations. We're looking for revelations that's going to uplift us. That's going to give us an uplift. Not that that's going to be that God can reveal himself. That's why is no miracles? Why don't we see miracles? Because miracles are not going to change us. If we're not ready for a miracle to change us. If we don't want, we're just looking for miracles. We're looking for an easy way out. We're looking for the fast fix. The fast fix is wonderful, but nothing changed in the world with a fast fix. The Eibishter wanted that he did the revelation and the vessel and the world should work together, that the revelation comes down and the vessel is prepared to go up and to elevate itself up. And that's what we need to do, and to continuously go higher and higher. So we need to go higher and higher in Yiddishkeit. We need to go higher and higher in our observance. We shouldn't do mitzvahs because that's what we did last week, or that's what we did yesterday. We should do mitzvahs because we want to do it. It's a new thing to me. I want to do it. I need to do it because I need to have it today. I can't live with the tefillah of yesterday. I needed to put on tefillin today. I could not survive with it because if not, I would not go. I would crash land. The godliness would crash land, and I don't want that to happen. I wanted to continue to have a fluid kind of a movement, to continue to come down and go higher. It's chayzer. It's a Choizer. It's a light. The Eibishter, we want the Choizer to continue to reverberate, to go back. To take this develop it, and go better. Right? Like food. To eat it, to become stronger. I eat food so I can become stronger, so I can be healthier, so I can have strength. I want it to not stop to go through me. And that's it. I ate it and it's gone. That's junk food. It's waste. It's waste before it got in, and it's waste after. I want the food, Dambas Gasada. I want it to be healthy food. That makes me healthy, that makes me stronger, that helps me to grow, gives me the strength, and I become a better person. And that's the way you need to learn the Torah, and that's the way I need to do a mitzvah. And that's a beautiful thing, I believe, of this chapter of Tanya, where the Alter Rebbe brings these two concepts together. And the truth is, that's what's going to happen. That's why the Alter Rebbe starts in the beginning of this chapter. That's happened when Mashiach comes. That's when to be the perfection of the world. When the physical and the spiritual, when they will work in unison. That will work. That was the way the Eibishter wanted the world. That the world will work in that kind of way. The body and the soul will work in unison. The godliness and the world will work in unison, and they will enhance each other. In essence, the whole purpose of spirituality was created for this world, and the whole purpose of the world was created for the spiritual reality. So it needs to go together, and that's Yemais Mashiach, and that's the coming of the Messiah. Okay. Well, the 29th of Adar, it's almost like the date that we're holding in the Hebrew calendar. So nevertheless, the rabbis are clear, not study but doing is the essential thing. As it's written, I think so, that's what we're holding. I'm not sure, guys, but we'll just go to that one. The right-hand column on page 178. And it's ruled that one should interrupt the study of the Torah in order to fulfill an active precept that cannot be formed by others. So if you have the struggle, should I learn, should I do a mitzvah? I should do the mitzvah. Right? Unless somebody else can do the mitzvah. But if somebody else cannot do the mitzvah, I should do the mitzvah. Even though Torah is the most important thing. No. Because right now, for the purpose of the purpose of God's creation, the purpose of the creation of the world, He needs you to do the mitzvah. Because the Eir Hashem, the Torah it comes from above. If you're not going to prepare you're not going to do the mitzvah, you're not going to prepare the world, this light will have no place to go. So right now, you need to do the mitzvah so that your Torah should have some place to ascend to. So too in a person, you can sit and learn Torah, my friends, 24/7, but if I'm not ready to incorporate it into my life, it's just a wonderful analogy. It's a wonderful drasha. And we can like wonderful drashas. And we can be inspired by wonderful drashas. But it has nothing to do with reality. It's a nice speech. Oh, he said a nice speech. Well, okay, why not? Who doesn't want to go listen to a nice speech once in a while? But what does it do with me? Nothing. Why? Because I've not really prepared my vessel to accept it, what the speech is going to be. I'm not ready for that. It's a nice drasha, but like I went to hear a speech in medicine. I'm not becoming a doctor. I'm not becoming a pharmacist. But it's a nice concept. It's an intellectual concept. Some people like intellect. Torah is intellectual. But if my vessel, which is my mind, the vessel of my body is not ready, so then what is the Torah? It bounced off me. It just came in there, nice speech, and it bounced away. Boom. I didn't bounce with it. The Torah wanted I should bounce with it. I should jump a little higher. If the knowledge of Torah comes part of me, then I jump myself a little higher. Then my physical reality becomes a little higher. Torah wanted every human being through learning Torah become a little higher. Yes. Right? Become a little refiner. Become a little bit more spiritual. Look at the world differently. See things differently. Understand things differently. Yes. So you can. That's how you're learning a class in crime and consequences. You can be a witness or you can be a judge. There's a big difference between a witness and a judge. A witness is not there a witness is there to say something that happened. He's a spectator. We're not asking him for his understanding of what happened. That's the problem with news today. We're not asking you for commentary. Just tell us a story. You should be a witness and say the story. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't tell me why the story happened. That's not your job. Your job, don't tell you that's a witness. A witness is not supposed to have opinion. A judge is not allowed to see the story. He's not. If he saw the story, he's not a judge anymore. He's not a judge. A judge has to hear the story. And that's how he can be objective. If he sees the story, then he cannot be objective. He's a witness. He cannot see. He cannot be objective. A judge has to hear the story. He has to be intellectual. He has to be objective to the story. It's very hard for us to see the world and to be objective. How are you supposed to see something and to see a positive when you're seeing negative? It's very difficult to do that. And that's what the Torah wanted you should do. To be objective. You should not be judgmental. It's one of the most important things. Don't be judgmental. Hillel said, what is the most important thing in the Torah? Don't do to others what that you don't want to do to you. And that's a very difficult thing to do. It's a very difficult thing to do. Not to be subjective. I see something, I'm subjective. The Torah wanted that a person should be objective. Even when he sees it, should be objective about it. Because he should use his mind. Should find his mind. It's in the Shema. Don't. Be careful what you see. Don't take everything you see as reality. Use your mind. Be objective. And if you're going to be objective, use your mind, you're not going to be judgmental. Don't judge anybody. Always the opposite. Always judge everybody to the good. Now, when the Mishnah says judge somebody to the good, he's not talking about a certain thing that happened good. He's talking about something that happened bad. I don't have to tell the Mishnah doesn't say, gee, have a zachaladi, you should always judge somebody to the good. It's when the guy's doing good. You don't have to have a Mishnah. You don't have to be a great sage to tell us that. I see something good, it's good. The Mishnah is telling us, I see something bad. The Tanya is coming and saying, nevertheless, you should judge it to the good. And you could. If you're objective, if you're intellectual, and you're gonna look at it in the right way, and you're gonna think of it in the right way, you're gonna put it into perspective, you will judge it to the good. And that's your obligation. That's your obligation. Not easy. But if you learn Torah, if you use your mind, you're a judge, you're not a witness, you could. And you should be able to do that. You use your intellect, you don't get emotionally, you don't use your emotions, you have the capacity to see things differently. Now you can use your intellect, everything's bad too. You can see something good and it's bad also. That's why the mind could swing the other way, trust me. That's why you need to trach good. That's why you need to think good. That's why you need to think good. You need the Torah one. You learn the Torah. The Torah is the ways of compassion and the ways of peace. So God looks at the world great. The Rebbe would always say that God looks at the world great. And every person should look at the world great.
The world's a garden.
I said yesterday, we all like this song. This whole world is a narrow bridge. But the main thing is not to fear. So that's a statement from the Nachman Breslev, they say from him. You don't hear one Lubavitcher Rebbe ever say that statement. Because the world is not a narrow bridge. The world is a beautiful garden. And you don't have to have any fear of anything. So it's not ever heard Lubavitcher ever say this world is a narrow bridge? Nobody, this world is not a narrow bridge.
But they both have the same conclusion, not to fear.
There's no aspect to fear, not to fear. I don't have to have any fear. There's no fear. I have to tell me to fear, not to fear. There's no fear. What is it to fear at? It's a beautiful world. If it's a beautiful world, why do I have to have fear? It's a beautiful world, so why is there fear to begin with?
Wait, can you repeat what Nachman Breslev said?
This whole world is a narrow bridge. And there's nothing to fear at all.
Okay, so but
So
the
you mean-
conclusion is the same.
I know, but begin, no, but the way I'm saying that Chassidus tells you, don't look at the world as a narrow bridge. You don't have to come to the conclusion, don't fear. If your world is a beautiful world, so then what do you have to have any fear?
I think what they're both saying, whether you're on a narrow bridge or everything's beautiful, it's the same thing.
No, that if I'm on a narrow bridge, then I have to tell me not to fear. But if I'm not on a narrow bridge, I have nothing to tell me not to fear. If I'm not on a narrow bridge, I'm not telling a person in a beautiful garden, don't fear. It's a beautiful garden. If you're on a narrow bridge, you have to tell him not to fear. But if you're in a beautiful garden, you have to tell him not to fear. You're in a beautiful garden. Why you tell him not to fear? You're in a beautiful garden. Who tells a person in a beautiful garden, don't fear?
Be a gardener.
Finish. You don't have to be in a narrow bridge. You don't have to say, oh my, the world is a narrow world, but I don't have to fear. The world's not a narrow world. The world is a creation by God. It's a beautiful world. It's a magnificent world. It's an unbelievable world. You're telling me that in this garden there's tzaddis? I don't see it. I see a beautiful world. It's a magnificent world. It's a magnificent world. Well, in a beautiful garden, you have some weeds. That's part of the garden. So you get some weeds, become a gardener, get a gardener, or whatever. Get out the weeds. But it's a beautiful garden. So it's true. It's a beautiful word of Nachman. I've never heard Lubavitch ever say that word. Never ever said this world's a narrow bridge. Never heard it from any of the Rabbeim say the world is a narrow bridge. The world is Basalagani. It's a beautiful garden. It's a magnificent garden. So finished. You're in a beautiful garden of God. What is there anything to tell you to even not to fear when you're in a beautiful garden?
Story that one of the rabbis saw a cross and ice.
You're right.
What's that story? Is that all?
He said if you're cold, then you turn into, even your Torah turns into an ice. If you're cold, then Torah is compared to water. And if you're cold can turn water into ice. Cold can turn your Torah into ice. That was his statement. That was Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov. So that's the beauty of this. I feel the active priesthood cannot perform by others. For this is the whole man and the purpose of his creation, and to descend into the world in order that he have an abode here below, especially to turn darkness into light. That's my avodah. The more darkness, the more I'm in business. If there's no darkness, I'm out of business. Right? If there's no garbage, and the garbage men don't have a job. If there's no darkness, we're out of business. Baruch Hashem, there's some darkness I can do. I can be a gardener. Baruch Hashem, I'm in business. There's things to do. There's a garden to take care of. There's things that I need to develop. It's a beautiful thing. Why are you sitting kvetching for? It's a beautiful place. Clean your house. Clean it up.
No, that might kvetch.
Yeah, there you kvetched. Especially to imagine that God gives me the capability, gives every person me the capability to transform darkness into light. Unbelievable. Who would not accept himself to go and do that? To turn the negative into the positive, to turn darkness into light, to turn stupidity into smartness, to elevate the world. My friend, it's a great schus, it's a great merit. It's an unbelievable job. It's a great thing that I can do. And I should do it. So therefore, I sometimes say, oh, but I'm too intellectual. I got no time. No, but then you have to do the mitzvah. That's how the Yetzer Hara works. So I'm too intellectual. No, go and do the mitzvah. Right now, you needed to do the mitzvah. Right now, you needed to develop this concept. Go and do it. Don't become lazy. Don't become rational. Don't become intellectual when it's a time for the aspect of action. So in order that he have an abode below, especially to turn darkness to light, and so the glory of the Lord. So it's the same purpose. The purpose of knowledge is the glory of the Lord. The purpose of the mitzvah is the glory. And the aspect of purpose is the same concept. Shall fill this material world, as emphasis on material world. And together all flesh will see. Let's hope we can finish this chapter. As been discussed above. On the other hand, when the precept is one that that can be performed by other. Let's say somebody else can do the mitzvah. Right? So then Torah, then I should not stop Torah. Then I should continue. One does not interpret the study of Torah. Though the whole Torah itself, after all, is only an explanation of the active ordinance. The Torah is for the mitzvah. The whole Torah is explaining how to do a mitzvah. The reason is that the Torah is, as it were, the Chabad of Ein Sof. The Torah is the wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not just a mitzvah. The Torah is the wisdom of God, is the gift from heaven. The Torah is unlimited aspect. It's a godliness that's even though it comes into words, it comes into a mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah. It's the aspect of the wisdom of God. And when a person is engaged in it, he draws over himself the light of Oid Ein Sof, blessed be He. That is the power of Limud Torah. When I learn Torah, we're sitting and learning Torah here now. We bring upon ourselves a light of God that is unlimited. And if we can just eat it and we can just understand it, then we incorporate that unlimited light in our brains. As is. And an infinitely higher order and a splendor than the illumination and the influence obtained through the commandments. It's much greater than a mitzvah. Because the mitzvah is my action. The mitzvah is ultimately me. The Torah is God. I just have to open my mind. I need to open my mind. I need to create a vessel. I cannot come and learn with preconceived notions. I can't come and learn this old stuff. I've already, made it something that is old to me. That's something that's not relevant to me. This might be a nice subject, but something old, something not relevant. No, I need to come to learn. And I need to open my heart like I'm learning this for the first time, which is much greater than a mitzvah, much greater than the mitzvah I can do. Because, again, I'm bringing about something that's unlimited into my physical reality because I'm using my brain. I cannot do this knowledge without my brain. And therefore, again, this unlimited light comes into each of our brains, each one according to their capability. God is not asking you to understand this Tanya like the Alter Rebbe understood the Tanya. Because you're not the Alter Rebbe. That's it. We're not the Alter Rebbe. And we're not supposed to be the Alter Rebbe. That's it. We're just not. Or like Moshe, to learn the Torah, like Moshe Rabbeinu understood the Torah. That's not our avodah. The Eibishter wrote the Torah and gave the Torah for each and every person. Anybody can eat from it. Anybody can gain from it. Anybody can do with it what he wants to do with it. You say it every day in a daven. Yiratzeh, may be a will of God that the Beis Hamikdash should be built v'seil chalkeinu and give us a part of your Torah. The Eibishter wants that everybody should have a part of the Torah because Torah is wisdom. God understood that wisdom needs to become part. I can't be a tape recorder. I can't be a parakeet. I need to understand it. Then if you need to understand it, then God understands that everybody's going to understand it differently. It's not possible to understand something each the same way. We can all do the same thing. We cannot understand. The Gemara says no two people think the same. It's not possible. It's impossible for two people to understand something and they should understand it exactly the same way. It's not possible. And that's the beauty of Torah. It's understood millions of different ways. It's understood by millions of different people. And it's beautiful. And everybody should not say, oh, but I'm going to give myself over to you. I'm going to give my understanding to you. Then you gave your free choice, so you're giving over your being to somebody else. Never give over your understanding to anybody. It's yours. It's something that's totally yours. As the Alter Rebbe said in the beginning of Tanya, your understanding is something that nobody can take away. Nobody can even know what you're thinking. Yes. Nobody can control what you're thinking. They can force you to do something. Can't force you to think something. So brainwashing these people, these cults, and they brainwash people is a very sad situation. In the Torah, it's called Gnevas Das. It's a Gneva, it's a Ganav. You're stealing somebody's Das. It's one of the laws of not stealing. When he says don't steal, it doesn't mean only don't steal somebody's money. In halacha, you're stealing somebody's knowledge. When you steal somebody's knowledge, taking away his own knowledge, you're telling him, I want you to think different. I want you to think the way I think. You're stealing his das. You're stealing his entity. You're stealing who he is. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. It's Geneva. That's stealing. You need every person to think for himself. And every person to understand for himself. And that's the beauty. You don't want the person to think like you. It's not the kavanah. That's not the objective of Torah, Judaism. It was never. Look at the Gemara. Everybody's arguing. The rabbis argued with each other. Everything that they said, they argued, and they disagreed with themselves. That's the beauty. The more they argue, the better it is. The more people understand when we argue. You sit and nobody argues. So how does the teacher know what he's saying is true if nobody argues? You need to argue. You need to disagree.
Except that one occasion where the 70 sages were put, in different places and they all
Right.
interpreted it.
Right? That was a miracle.
Yes.
But that was a miracle. Okay. The Gemara says, for example, in Jewish law, the 70 rabbis, or any situation, in a life-death situation, it's interesting, the opposite of American law, general law, if you have a Bezdin, 23 rabbis, life and death, or 70 rabbis, and everybody condemns this guy, it's not good. There's got to be one guy who says no. There's got to be. So it's like a hung jury. If you have all 70 guys, all 23 rabbis say he's chayiv, it's broken. It's thrown out. You need to have one guy who says something the opposite. There's got to be somebody, or else something's wrong, or else they all saw it. But you cannot tell 70 guys some story, and nobody's going to be able to think it differently, and find something different. It's not, something's wrong. Either they're all being, that's why in the court, they would never start, if you know the laws of the court, they would never start, because the court was established the younger to the older, they would never start with the older guy. They would start with the younger guy. Because they didn't want the older guy should have an influence on the younger guy. Oh, now the older guy said the guy, now the younger guy's going to say not. The Chief Justice said condemned the shnuk that just got on the court is going to say the opposite. How is he going to do that? No, you can't do it. You can't. But that's human nature. Oh, you said no good. I'm going to say good. I'm going to say good. I can't do that. So you cannot do that in Jewish law. You got to let the guy who you think that is younger, let him say it first. He shouldn't have any influence on anybody. Nobody should have an influence on him. Nobody should have an influence on his what he thinks and what he comes to. So too in the world. Nobody should have an influence. Nobody should take away your thought or what you think or how you think. But when it comes to mitzvah, we need to all do the same. You see, that's where we come around. When it comes to a mitzvah, we need to do the same. That's where we got to say no. So there's the give and take. There is the give and take. So knowledge, we can differ. But when it comes to action, we need to do. Then you're going to break Yiddishkeit. Everybody's going to do something different. Which that's what happened. You know what I mean? What broke Yiddishkeit was that people started doing things different. Yeah. If we would all do the same thing, but we have different philosophies, gesund to hate. But then we started doing things different. And that's what's breaking Judaism. That you say you don't have to do the mitzvahs, or you do it differently, the mitzvahs. Now we started to break Yiddishkeit. And it's a sad situation. But if we have different philosophies, we have today in the religious groups, everybody has a different philosophy. Gesundheit. Beautiful. That's what the Mishnah says. Who is a person who's knowledgeable? Haloimed mikol adam. A person is smart who learns from everybody. Yeah. If you're smart, you have the capability of learning from everybody. Everybody can teach you something. Some things you shouldn't learn from other people. Maybe the learning is not to be like that. The learning is to be right. But that's the beauty of knowledge. But when you start saying we don't have to do things, then what's Yiddishkeit? Then we have lost our identity. Then we have lost our unity. And now suddenly you're doing something, I'm not doing something, you're doing something, I'm not doing something. It just breaks the whole continuity. And that's the sad thing. But I gotta go. Have a wonderful, beautiful day.